Hey guys, it's Greg Suzavasti with the Find Your Film Podcast. 2 interviews for this installment. Hounds of War. It's an action thriller directed by Isaac Florentine. He is my first interview. Filmmaker Isaac Florentine is very talented. During the interview, he talks about his filmmaking aesthetic behind this movie, Hounds of War. And then the second interview is with the Radleys actress, Bo Bragason. And she is a young actress, up-and-coming talent. She's very good in the Radleys, okay? First off, Hounds of War, here's a plot summary. Quote, Frank Grillo, Robert Patrick, and Rona Mitra star in Hounds of War about the best military mercenaries money can buy. Known as the Hounds, they are sent on the most dangerous missions that only they can successfully complete. But their latest mission is a trap set by their creator to destroy them. Can they avenge their fallen brothers and sisters? So this creator, this bad guy, is played by Robert Patrick. Rona Mitra is a personal friend of the head of the mercenaries who helps this head seek out revenge against the Robert Patrick character. Frank Grillo plays the leader of the Hounds, who, when his basically compatriots are double-crossed, he goes on a revenge mission to make sure that Robert Patrick's character is, by the end of this story, dead. So it's a very good action thriller. Isaac Florentine he's a huge cinephile. So during our talk, he mentioned his love for spaghetti westerns, his lifelong passion for martial arts. And I think most interestingly, he explains why there, at least with a lot of his movies, there is not a lot of quick cutting action in his takes. There's a lot of fluidity behind his action sequences. And his movies, he wants people to see all of the action that is going on. So that is actually a really interesting, different style than a lot of action thrillers out there today. So when you usually see a fluid motion type of action thriller, there might be a good chance it will be directed by Isaac Florentine. Hounds of War is currently on digital and on demand. I really enjoyed this movie. To be honest, I have to watch more of Isaac Florentine's work to get a better grasp on his entire talent. And during the interview, he talks about Acts of Vengeance. Okay, Acts of Vengeance is a movie with Antonio Banderas, and he calls it a commercial release. It'll be interesting to see what kind of, if the Isaac Florentine fluid touch is in Acts of Vengeance. But he also mentioned different films. I think Boyka, Undisputed. A lot of that stuff I'm not familiar with. My Cinematics co-host, Eric Holmes, Isaac Florentine is one of his favorite filmmakers. So that is the first interviews with Isaac Florentine. I will do just a little bit of a talking of the Radleys after this Isaac Florentine interview. Let's start up with Isaac Florentine right now in 3, 2, 1. Pleasure to meet you, Isaac.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I am here with Isaac Florentine, the filmmaker behind this first-rate film called Hounds of War. First off, I love the location. Just talk about the challenge of making your film beautiful, because there's so many great visual setups. How much preparation went into just preparing it on a visual sense and giving us a great painting of your film?
A lot, because the hardest thing for me when I do a movie, besides the casting, is finding the right locations. And this movie was challenging because, yes, Malta is very beautiful in many ways, but you have to find the right locations for the movie. And I had 3 setbacks. The first one, I found some locations and wanted to shoot it in a studio that was in the island. And then Radley Scott came and he's doing Napoleon. So I'm pushed away and of course he's in. So we're back almost to base one. Second setback that we had, the first part of the movie, all the action was supposed to happen in a beautiful big, some kind of a palace. And I found something. It was very hard to find, but I found something. But I was very, very limited with what I could do. And it was really counterproductive to do it. And really, by the last week of pre-production, I said, okay, let's totally scratch the idea. We went 180 degrees to the other direction. And we went with the place that used to be a hotel, like a big compound that used to be a hotel, and it looks like it was bombed. And we shot there really the first chunk of the movie. But it was like a last minute decision. And the third setback that I had is where the opening of the movie, where you're shooting kind of the square with the American president. I was supposed to shoot it at the main square in Valletta, the St. George Square, and we lost it. But we're already shooting. We're already in the third or fourth week of shooting, and it's like, whoa, we lost it. So now, 2, 3 days before we shoot, I have to go and find a new location that will kind of work. And I found that location, and I said, how will I make it work? Luckily, the church right in front of it, they had a scaffolding, they were renovating it. And I said, I'm going to use it. So that was, I mean, talking about locations, that was it was kind of an odyssey, you know. But sometimes some of the location that I found, for instance, the Italy where they chasing him in the roof and whatever, they showed it to me for another location. I said, no, it doesn't fit this location, but I can make it fit to that location. And so, you know, even if you see, when you see something, you have always to be open-minded and not to be negative, because maybe it will not fit that part of the movie, but it can fit this part of the movie.
You know, that's so interesting, Isaac, because you have a lifelong passion for martial arts. A lot of those books in your library are probably martial arts based.
All,
And
yes.
I wonder, you've been asked this quite a bit, but that philosophy, not just the physical part of the choreography, but maybe the way of life, the point of view, how has that influenced you as a filmmaker? Maybe in a positive way. I'm thinking maybe that's integrated in the way you look at and not being stressed about everything, maybe just being a real leader. Did you learn that from your teachings and learnings and passion for martial arts? And did that translate to filmmaking as well?
So there is stress and there is stress. There is a positive stress that in order to overcome it, you say, I'm going to be prepared. And there is a negative stress that basically interferes, you know? So you try to chamber the stress into a positive stress. Like sparring gives you experience how to deal with defense and attacks, etc. But another thing that came from martial arts is the clarity of the technique. I wanted the technique, coming from karate, doing it for more than 50 years, I wanted the technique will be clean, will be sharp. And when you move from one thing to another, like in a kata, it should be very clean, very seamless, no extra emotions. The same from one scene to another. So you apply one thing to another, and also a matter of pace, because there's something in martial arts that it's pace. And you want that pace. Somebody asked me before, how do you know if the scene is too short or too long and whatever? And I say, I don't know, but it's a matter of pace that you have inside. And I think that this pace came from martial arts for sure, but also from music. But again, also the clarity of the movement. Now, when you say clarity of the movement, it's also clarity of the space that you are. That means when I do an action scene or a drama, I want that the environment will be clear. I want that people will know that this character is on the right, this character is on the left, they're here. So I'll go with wide lenses. I know when to use the wide lens, how to move the camera. I will not go, and it will be clear, it will be clean. I don't like shaky camera unless you're shooting an accident and bang, there is a bang, you know, or something like this. So I don't want to confuse the audience. I want to give him clarity. So I think that at a certain point, the audience goes with it and enjoys it because it doesn't have to suffer or to guess what's going on. He gets that information, so now he can concentrate on the story, on the character, and not to think too much where I am, what's going on.
Yeah.
He's engaged with the story.
On being engaged with the story, Isaac, my podcast co-host, you're one of his favorite filmmakers, and he'd rather see an Isaac Florentine film as opposed to $150 million action film by a studio, because he would rather see your movies because it has a strong POV.
I like to do the $150 million movie, but that's okay.
Right. I mean, not to be too critical, but is there something that sometimes a higher budget maybe leads to a lack of cinema as opposed to just quick cutting, dumbing down for the audience, as opposed to your movies, which has a very direct point of view. There's fluid camera work, there's strength in storytelling, and there's just a signature essence that maybe you won't get in certain movies that are way more expensive? Or is that a myth, you think?
No, no, I don't know if it's a myth or not. First, it's always a pleasure to work when you have the time. You know, in a big movie, I'm sure you have the time to work, and you can do whatever you want. But if you do a small movie, not so many people want to be involved in it, especially executive and whatever. They're not there like to save the big budget movie. So it gives you some kind of a freedom to go and to do whatever you want. And because in this kind of a movies, there is no reshoot, there is no we'll do it after, and there is no fat because already in pre-production, I take the script and I tell the writer, take this out. It's fat, fat, fat. Will never be on the screen. What we need to get is about 90 minutes that will be on the screen. I want to shoot everything that I shoot. I want to end up on the screen. Why? Because if I have X amount to shoot, Y amount of scene, I want to spend all the time on those scenes and not to shoot extra scenes that will go on the floor and then not have quality time, shoot whatever will be on the screen. So when you take all of those factors together, you can do good stuff also in a good movie. Again, you have to be prepared. Pre-production is the most important thing. Is locations. You find a location, you know how a scene will play within the location, and then you sit there in your hotel room and whatever you do the short list. And this I do by myself alone, you know. I close myself. I'm alone. I have either a banjo or a guitar with me, what, and that's after I have the location. I know the location. I said this is how the scene will look, and you find that if you start the scene correctly, the shots, it's like butter, it will flow. If you start it incorrectly, you get stuck. And you say, wait, I didn't start correctly. Let's start again. And then you have a short list. That means that the day that you go and you already do a recce with your crew, you tell them, this is what we're going to shoot. This is how we're going to shoot it. And by the way, you tell the other department, I'm going to shoot only this. Don't worry about the other side. Just worry about this side. So now they can put the what they don't have and what they have right here and not to spend stuff on stuff that will not be shown. And when you go and you shoot the day of the shooting, you know what you're doing. It's one thing after the other. So you're not wasting time. You're being very economically.
I,
Again, this also comes from martial arts, I believe.
yeah, I love Frank Grillo, and I want to see him in every scene. That said, without giving too much away, there's a scene that's pretty much propelled by Rona Mitra and her fellow actors, and they have their own sequence without Grillo. Was that in the script? Was that your idea? Because I thought that was just,
No, no, it was in the script.
oh, that
I
was
mean,
okay.
yeah, it
That's
was
awesome.
what happened was that one of the producer was the writer. And it was easy to tell him, look, change the scene to so and so and so and so, change it per day's location. But it was absolutely it was in the script. Whether we put it on purpose or not, I don't remember now. But yeah, it was an opportunity to do something light and flamboyant, which is a bit different than the way that Frank moves more realistically. And that was an opportunity for Mike Moller and Lee Charles to do some great stuff with David Wall, that was the second unit director and the fight choreographer, and Mike Moller to do something that and Rona that we all had fun, you know.
It was
So
really
and
well
that's
done.
the first action scene we shot in the movie. We shot it at the third day, you know. So yeah.
Is it to me, how hard was it just to do the car chase sequence within the narrow streets? And then on top of that, you're building, you talked about the scaffolding at the beginning, but you also build an extra layer with the tunnels. It seems to me that must have been difficult to do, or was that movie magic because you built a really great subworld in your film?
So first of all, it's in the script. I mean, you serve the script as a director. The scaffolding, that tower was under renovation, so I just used what I had. So I told you I lost the big location. I
Yeah.
found a small location, but those scaffoldings really helped it to make it to connect things. Uh, and with the tunnels, it was
Right.
in the script, and we really shot in the catacombs, the original catacombs that are in Malta. You couldn't shoot there with a big crew. You could only bring 3 or 4 people in because there was not enough air. So you have to be very economical about it.
Well, that's amazing. Isaac, final couple questions. So if someone watches Hounds of War and is not familiar with your work and they want to actually, what would, what movie from your resume would you have them go to next? Or maybe pick a movie from your own resume that you feel is underrated that you would like our listeners to watch. And what makes it special for you?
I don't know. I can tell you, I have no idea. There are three movies that I like. One is a total mainstream. In a way, I think like Hounds of War is Acts of Vengeance with Antonio Banderas. Second is any one of the Undisputed movies, but I would start with two. But two, three, and four almost are one movie. And the second ninja movie that I did, Shadow of a Tear. So, because the Undisputed are sports movies, there were actually Undisputed was the first MMA movie that was done. And Ninja Shadow of a Tear is a pure martial arts movie. It's really pure. And even and we base it on some real character that is being talked in the movie, of course, and not is not there, and nobody plays it. And Acts of Vengeance, it's total mainstream movie. It's like a
Yeah.
thriller.
Yeah. So I've been reading past interviews and you would like to mention the three Sergios and you also talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. But
Yes.
I want to know when you were a kid or maybe a teenager, the first time you saw The Great Silence and your reaction to that film and why you think that movie is special. Because I really, that's probably my favorite spaghetti Western. I don't even know if it's a spaghetti Western because it's such a beautiful film towards the end, especially. So, but what was your first reaction seeing it as a youth?
Sergio Corbucci has good movies and some. I mean, it's like it fluctuates, you know. I mean, he's got like The Mercenary that I really like it, and I mean, it's anyway. First of all, I think that Jean-Louis Trintignant and Klaus Kinski are great in that movie. It's set in the snow. Corbucci went totally different than Sergio Leone. You know, Django is in the mud. The Great Silence is in the snow. You know, when I shot Undisputed 2 in the snow of Swan, I said, wow, it's like the Great Silence. And not to mention the ending of the movie. You know, the ending of the movie is you don't expect that ending, you know? And it's like, it makes it like, wow, you know? It's a surprise ending. Uh, but look, there were some American movies that had also a little bit of surprise ending. There's a movie with
Oh, really? Okay.
Yul Brynner and George Segal, Invitation to a Gunfighter or whatever, and it's totally. I was there in 1964, huh? It's totally offbeat, you know. So it's interesting, but it's offbeat. The character is offbeat. And I think that movie influenced, I'm not sure, it influenced Clint Eastwood when he did High Plane Drifter.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. My final question to you is, so Hounds of War, it's available on digital September 20th. But I wonder about cinephiles who want to collect all of your works on physical media, on DVD or Blu-ray. Do you still think there's a passion for physical media? Because I think you're like your library over here. I feel that it's going away where we can't buy all the DVDs or Blu-rays of auteurs and that's something I worry about. How do you feel about DVDs or Blu-rays now? Do you think it's a lost? Can it ever come back? So
Look, people thought that big records like the turntable will not come back. And I have records, and I remember my little girl saw it like years ago. I mean, she's 28 now, and she says, "What do you mean you turn this and you put it on the other side?" So I think that I have still some DVDs. I have a big library here. I mean, it's most of it is all martial arts.
yeah,
But I have some DVDs because look, there are movies that you cannot see if you go online and try to get them, you cannot get them. So at least you have them on a DVD. I don't know. I mean, I don't have an answer, but I still, let's say, if I read a book, I enjoy holding the book, feeling the paper, smelling the paper, than to see it on a tablet or something, you know? I think the connection is different. But also, when I do a short list, I take a pen and a pencil and I write it with a pen and a pencil, and I don't type it, you know?
right. Thank you so much for your time. Hellfire, I saw on IMDb. Is that in post? How far are you on that? I love
Both.
Stephen Lang. I love him as what can you say about that? Is how far, when can we expect that?
We are almost done. I mean, we are moving slowly. It's a contemporary Western. I enjoy shooting it a lot. Stephen Lang was fantastic. 70 years old, he's doing all of his action, all of his fight, and he loves it. Harvey Keitel, Johnny Young Bosch was the fight choreographer and played a fantastic character in the movie. And yeah, I enjoyed doing that movie. I mean, it was a hard movie to do because it was a small budget, and but it's almost done, and I like this movie a lot. And the music is great. I mean, there is the singer and banjo player, Min Mary. She is doing her own version of Wayfaring Stranger, that is a Civil War song, and it's fantastic. Fantastic, you know? So
Yeah, speaking of fantastic, Hounds of War on digital September 20th. Isaac Florentine, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
thank you. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
You have a great day.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your
Okay.
time.
All right, we're back. The second interview is with Bo Bragason. Movie is called The Radleys, and here is the plot summary. Award-winning actors Kelly MacDonald and Damian Lewis star in a dark comedy thriller about a seemingly average suburban family. The juicy secret, they are vampires. In the light of day, the Radleys might seem normal, but they can only abstain from their natural cravings for so long until the bloody truth bubbles to the surface and turns their quiet country life upside down. The movie starts with Bo Bragason. She's their daughter, and she has no idea she's a vampire. But when she's assaulted by a classmate, and ultimately that classmate pays for his actions, she realizes, well, that there's a reason why she beat the guy up and killed him with relative ease. And then when she finds out that she's a vampire, obviously she's not too happy because neither she nor her brother are entirely happy because the parents have been keeping that secret to them for their entire lives. So the rest of the Radleys centers on how they're trying to deal with the kids learning that they are vampires, and each of them, the brother and sister, obviously the sister, the daughter is played by Bo Bragason. They try to figure out how to reconcile their, I guess, pretty much their coming of age, them being teenagers, while also understanding and realizing that they are pretty much more than superhuman. They're vampires. So that's one of the subplots. Damian Lewis also plays another character. He plays the uncle of the father in the movie, and the uncle is more of a free-wheeling, happy-go-lucky playboy type, or maybe might say playboy type, or also might be sort of a ne'er-do-well type of lazy kind of person, selfish uncle. You'll see. You'll figure out what type of uncle this person is. But it's cool. If you like Damian Lewis, he has two roles in this movie. Kelly MacDonald is also really great in this. The son is played by Harry Baxendale. Harry Baxendale and Bo Bragason, they're young stars, and they're both fantastic in the Radleys. Currently, the movie has a 77% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. My opinion, a little bit too low. Rated this really high. I believe I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I forgot what I gave Hounds of War. Maybe 4.5 stars. I got to look up my Google Doc. Both of these are very quality movies to rent or purchase on whatever platform you use. I have Amazon links. If you want to use them, me and the Cinematics crew, Bruce Perky, Eric Holmes, Anderson Cowan, we all get a cut by being Amazon Associates members. That's a great way to support our Find Your Film and Cinematics podcast. So if you want to rent or purchase any of these movies, maybe make an Amazon choice and use our links or use our site Stripe. Okay. But most importantly, I hope you get to see Hounds of War and the Radleys. Hit me up on info@findyourfilms. Tell me what you think of these movies. Bo Bragason, she stars in this mini-series called The Jetty, and it's on BBC. It played on the BBC. I mentioned that to her during the interview towards the end of it, and so far it's not playing in the States. When it starts playing in the States, definitely want to check it out because she's fantastic in the Radleys, and I'd like to see more of her work down the road. She's also in Renegade Nell, and that is currently streaming on Disney Plus. I don't know, that might be a children's type of thing, but maybe I'll give that one a shot. But I'm really excited to see her work in The Jetty. Again, Hounds of War and the Radleys. Tell me what you think of these movies once you see them. And finally, I've been trying to do this for the last 2 years, maybe even longer. I've been telling Bruce and Eric and even Anderson back in the day that I wanted to make my site findyourfilms.com and Find Your Film a place where people can find favorite movies. So I'm going to starting this week. I know it's been a 2.5 to 3 year delay. I'm going to compile all of the interviews that I've done over the years where actors are talking about their favorite movies or movie picks, and I will start putting them up on our Find Your Film site. So our findyourfilms.com site will not just be posts about trailers or movie reviews. I will have a section where there will be a favorite movies or movie pick situation where you, dear listener, can use as a resource as movie recommendations. Okay. Starting with this, Hounds of War, I'm going to put Isaac Florentine's picks were actually he has one pick, Invitation to a Gunfighter, starring Yul Brynner. That's one of the picks. And Bo Bragason's movie pick is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. So yes, I am starting. I'm not talking to, basically talking to myself more than I'm talking to you guys. So Invitation to a Gunfighter and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind are the first two favorite movies / movie picks that I'm going to put on the Find Your Film universe. It will be on the site. And I don't know how I'm going to do it, but hopefully by the end of this journey, there will be hundreds and hundreds of movie recommendations from people I've interviewed over the years. And who knows, maybe it'll morph to something else. Thanks for supporting me here on Find Your Film. And here is my interview with Bo Bragason. Check out the Radleys and check out Hounds of War. Again, get back to me. Thanks. So I'm here with Bo Bragason, star of The Radleys, a movie that I really enjoyed. And
Okay.
first off, I need to know just what do they put on you when you get bloody? Because that must be very sticky. You're not in an air conditioned room with no insects. You're out on the field.
Yeah,
What is that like?
it's gonna sound so strange, but it was great. It was so good. I don't know, there's something about it being covered in, I mean, yeah, that sounds a bit strange, but I mean, just walking around set, for example, or being on base camp, people didn't know that I was covered in blood, so I'd kind of walk up, stand behind someone, they'd turn around, they'd be like, whoa, oh my God. You're covered. But yeah, it was a really, really hot day. I remember when we were filming the forest scene where my character does get covered in blood. And it was just like extremely sticky. I was wearing this fur thing that was getting stuck to me. I mean, the makeup team was fabulous. The taste of the blood, very tangy but sweet at the same time. It was a bit of a confusing one.
You
But yeah,
accidentally tasted it, right? You didn't gulp it down. So,
you never know. But yeah, no, it was cool. It was such a surreal experience, and also just to be able to do that and call it work. It's great. I mean, what more could you want?
yeah, I'm the Radleys. I thought just looking at the poster, I thought it would be great, escapist, fair. It would be fun, comedic. I got something a lot deeper from it. Did you know going in, this is why you were attracted to the project? Because it may seem like a fun thing from the surface, from cinephiles like me, but there's a lot more to the movie than meets the eye, which makes it special, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think like one of the overall messages of the film is about sacrificing like your true self to fit into the society and how to like overcome that and that pressure of doing that. I think that, although this is a vampire film, that is not the only part, that's not the only thing about it. It's family drama, self-identity, self-discovery, like becoming comfortable in your sexual desires. Yeah, there's just so much to it. And I also think that with everyone watching, no matter how old you are, this is a coming of age film, not just for the younger characters, but for the older ones, marital relationships, parent and children relationships. I think there's just something that anyone could take away from this. And I feel like it's a film that would be hard not to enjoy, I'd like to say. But obviously some people might have a different opinion. But I just think it's a really fun new take on the vampire genre.
And without giving too much away, how did you play Clara or Clara? I like pronouncing it either way. How did you just portray her arc and get ready for that kind of emotional arc that she goes through? Because her coming of age is not something over a summer; it's a total transformation. How were you able to play that as an actor? Yeah.
Absolutely. I think as approaching the role, I kind of just stepped back into my 17-year-old self, into that mindset of being insecure, being, kind of just suppressing myself to fit into society. But obviously with Clara, it is such a quick transformation, which, normally in anyone's growing up years, it wouldn't exactly happen that fast. But I think it's just more so like with the age I'm at now, even though I am still young, I have come to realize that, suppressing yourself and trying to fit in just because society tells you to, just so that way you're not weird or cringe, whatever. And it's not worth it because there's so much more to life than that. And just approaching the role was trying to figure out the balance and then also not overdoing it after the transformation, you know?
On that transformation, what's it been like for you as an actor the last several years? Well, I mean, actually, more than that, back in 2021, me and my podcast co-host, we just really praised this movie called Censor. We love that movie. But I love that film. Such a great film. Underrated, by the way, also, as you know. But just the last couple of years, with Renegade Nell, and now I really want to see The Jetty when it comes here stateside. What is that last couple of years in growing as an actor with these assumedly quality projects, including the Radleys, been for you personally?
Oh, it's been great. It has really been great. I mean, I've been acting since I was 11, but I'd only really consider myself to have been properly acting for the past maybe 2-3 years, or 4 even, 2024. But yeah, I think with every role that I'm doing, I feel as though I'm learning more and also getting better and better. The quality of parts, I think they have been, like, over the past few years, they've really, really been up there. So in a sense, pressure to perform how I think it should be performed, but also the people that I've been surrounded by on these sets, it's like I haven't had any formal acting training, but being on set, it kind of feels like I have, because I'm learning from the greats. I'm sitting back, like, just observing, watching what they're doing, and soaking that all in. But every role that I've done, I can, like, truly say that I'm grateful for, because they have kind of all been so different from one another. Like, when you do get the chance to see The Jetty, you'll see very different side to myself, I guess, in comparison to Clara. But yeah, I just really enjoy putting myself into these roles, into these, like, time frames, and, like, seeing where I can go with it.
I've interviewed Kelly and Damien over the years, and they're nice people personally, but they're also just selfishly, they're just very talented. So, and then now you're playing a family unit. Obviously, you're under the gun. You have to make on a day-to-day basis, it's stress. But what's it like having people who are leaders like that in front of you? And do you learn something from that experience, these actors?
Yeah, definitely. And, like, specifically with Damien and Kelly, it was just such a good opportunity to ask questions and to really soak in their answers. They really created an atmosphere that felt safe, felt very comfortable. If I had any questions, I could ask them. I'd get a very, very good response back. And also just, to get the chance to work with these people who I have been watching since I was young, it was just fantastic. And they are just so good. So it's kind of an honor to be able to play their daughter, So it was pressure, but it was also just, like, I couldn't be more grateful.
Well, final couple questions. First off, when did you start having that dream of becoming an actor? And now, where you are at this moment, is it surreal to know that your present and your future looks promising? Did you ever see yourself at this place from where you were from your initial dream?
I mean, it's kind of, acting has kind of always been in my life. Just putting on shows, all of that when you're younger, but then I guess kind of stepping into it and trying to actively pursue it as a career, knowing that this is kind of literally the only thing I want to do in life, has pushed me through the hard times, it's like hundreds of rejections, but then to be able to kind of, like, take a step back and see what I have done. And when I think about myself, usually I don't really go like, yeah, well done, Bo, you're great. But if I, like, picture one of my best friends doing what I have done, I'd be like, my God, that is so cool. So I am really proud of, how far I've come. And I just really hope to keep going with it, to be honest. It's my passion.
Is that one of the elements of the unlock as far as being a successful actor? You mentioned hundreds of rejections. I'm sure over the years, you're a veteran. You've seen people who are just as talented maybe decide they don't want to do it because it's hard to handle the rejection. Is it almost a force of will or just sheer will that gets you through the next day as an actor? Maybe, I'm assuming.
It's a mix, really, because I remember when I was younger, every rejection would hit me like, like a knife to the heart. But then kind of just getting used to it, getting used to the no's or getting used to the silence, which is just a big part of acting in general, but also just kind of, being okay with not getting a part, because sometimes it might be because of your acting, but most of the time it's just the smallest detail, like your hair's not the right color, your nose is too big, you're too tall, you're too small, anything like that. But I also think, there has to be some level of delusion to be in this industry. I mean, that's a big statement, but, like, it's tough. It is so tough, but I think it is so worth it. There's just nothing, I think, all the no's, going through that, the yes is what makes it worth it. Like, the very rare you got the part is like, yeah, that's what you do it for. So it's great.
It's amazing. Final question is just right off the top of your head. Can you name one of your all-time favorite movies? And what is it about this film that really speaks to you on a personal level?
God, one of them. I'd probably say. I mean, I really, really, really love Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I've watched that so many times. Have you seen it?
Oh, well, yeah. I'm so old. I did the junket with Condry years back. So great film. So
That's
yeah.
so cool. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I love that film. I wouldn't necessarily say it has any like type of personal connection or anything I really relate to within it. I just love the story. I love the actors. But then Mamma Mia 2, Mamma Mia, the first one, I have to throw that out there as like a nostalgia. Used to love it growing up. Still love it now. It's one of my go-tos. Probably my favorite musical. But I've got so many favorite films. So many.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Really love the Radleys, and
So
I
much.
definitely have to rewatch Censor. I remember that movie blowing me away. What was your initial reaction when you first saw the final cut of Censor? Were you blown away as just a lot of people were? And
Yeah, my God, I was like, whoa, crazy. Because, my part in that was small, so I didn't actually get to read the full script. So I went into it blind, apart from knowing my scenes. But yeah, I mean, it's great because I also ended up working with another actor that was in that, in Censor, on my most recent job. So we got to talk about that. But yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. I'd love to do more horror.
thanks again so much, and really love the Radleys, and looking very much looking forward to the Jetty.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
You too. Take care.